So we are at section 21.4 in your textbook, and we're looking at the kingdom Animalia and the phylum Annelids. And annelids are divided into three classes here in this part of your text, which is the segmented worms, annelids are segmented worms. And so what we're looking at are three different types of segmented worms, which are earthworms, leeches, and sea worms. Okay, the segmented worm basically has consecutive ring-like structures, all right? And those ring-like structures are separated through a septa. And the septa has basically, if you could picture like a hole going down the center, and that hole is going to allow for all of the nerve and all of the vessels and digestive tract to pass through the septa. Okay, the annelid has bilateral symmetry and then specifically the earthworm here is nocturnal, also with bilateral symmetry, and the earthworm is able to move about because of bristles on the bottom and because of a complex muscular system, in that it has a circular muscular system right underneath the epidermis, and then right below that layer is a longitudinal muscle layer. So it's the combination of these muscles contracting and expanding that allow this setae to move, and then that ushers the worm along. The worm does not have any eyes, so it just is non-discriminatory in the soil that it's passing through and that it's ingesting. So the entire time that this earthworm is moving along, it has basically like a lip which sort of acts like a shovel that's kind of grabbing the humus layer of soil, and it is then passing through the mouth of the so we're going to start with the digestive system here. It's going into the mouth, it's going to go into the pharynx, from the pharynx it's going to go into the esophagus, the crop, the gizzard, the large intestines, and then out the anus as it eliminates any waste. The intestine has a like a fold in it, which just adds for more surface area, and when we talk about human digestion later, we'll see that the number of folds add for a larger surface area, so more of an opportunity to grab nutrients. The respiration, okay, breathing of the earthworm occurs through the skin, and it has there's a direct exchange of gases that are happening with the air on the skin. All right. So there's a balance that the earthworm needs to be able to maintain, and that happens because of a mucus gland that moistens the skin. That mucus gland, when the conditions are dry outside and the worm doesn't want to dry out, the mucus gland will secrete more mucus, and it will allow for any fluid that's within the worm to stay there. Also, if it's really drought conditions or dry out, the worm, or cold, the worm will want to burrow deep within just to be able to maintain a homeostatic level, homeostasis basically. All right. Let's see. During, I already read that. Okay, and then so if it's if there's too much rain and the earth is, or the soil is becoming too wet, what will happen is the earthworm will come out of the soil, and it will help to dry out as well. They don't want to be too wet because they could actually drown. All right. The nervous system, now we'll talk about the sensation that the worms have, and the nervous system of an earthworm consists of nerves, a nerve cord, and a tiny brain, and that brain is no larger than the tip of a pin. And the brain consists of a cluster of nerves called ganglion, and we'll talk more about ganglion when we go over again the nervous system for human anatomy. But this the nerve cord coordinates muscle movement, so that's what allows the worm to be able to move, and the nervous system is allows for the earthworm to be sensitive to light, to touch, to chemicals, and even electricity. We talked about digestion already. So excretion in a solid form is going to come out the anus, but water elimination is actually going to happen through the nephritas. And the nephrita is basically coiled excretory tubes which are opened at both ends. All right, so one is opened from the body cavity, and then the other is open through a pore that leads to the outside. And this nephrita acts as a kidney, or kidneys. All right. Nephritas are complex in their structure, and besides moving liquid waste from the earthworm, it also helps to maintain proper balance of salt, because too much salt in the earthworm would cause the earthworm to dehydrate and then die. All right. Sea worms do not have setae, okay, those bristle-like structures that help them move along, but they have parapodia, and the parapodia not only allow the sea worms to move, they actually help in the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. And the parapodia, they have a pair of parapodia, okay, these lobes, they're lobe-shaped structures, and they are on each body segment. They are on each body segment. And now leeches. Leeches are commonly known as bloodsuckers, and they do not have setae or parapodia. Leeches have somewhat flattened bodies with a suction disc, all right, or a sucker at the end of their body, and it's with these suction discs that leeches cling to their host. All right. Leeches are free-living organisms, but many are parasites, or most are parasites, and the free-living leeches prey on insect larvae, earthworms, and other small animals. And let's just see. The leeches obviously want the blood of their host, whether it be snails, fish, reptiles, mammals, or humans. Most leeches are aquatic. And let's see. They use that sucker to adhere or latch on to a host, all right, and then their sharp teeth in the anterior sucker puncture the host's skin so that the leech can then suck blood. In the leech, there is an anesthetic or a painkiller in their saliva, and it helps prevent the host from becoming aware that the leech is even there. They also have a presence of an anticoagulant, and that is a substance that prevents the blood from clotting. So today, scientists are studying leeches because they want to see, well, what is the property of that saliva that allows it to be an anticoagulant. And science also uses and has used leeches in wanting to for bloodborne illnesses or something like that, to be able to have them suck out blood, basically. So they use leeches. All right, I mean, that pretty much summed up chapter 21.4, section 21.4, and we just have flatworms and roundworms to go over, and I will do that on another quick video.